Okay, recording is started. Welcome everybody to the community meeting. We'll discuss the first response to our email from last week. So maybe I'll just read the email. So the response was fair enough. I don't have any issues with this as long as current ownership status remains unchanged. I don't have desire to participate in calls regarding this, but feel it is important, as you attach the FH1 bylaws here as reference, to adopt this if necessary by property, so each would submit our bylaws separately in support or something. Peace. So I see that you guys have been talking about it today. So everyone who got land in any FH project agreed to the vision, lifestyle, and bylaws. They can be changed though on a project by project basis through consensus. This is what she's referring to. And then Nick attached some images. Yeah, did somebody want to say?
Yeah, no, I guess she was just stating that, if they are not happy with the bylaws, that they can change them. They can do that through a consensus. Um, that's not a problem, really, right? And yeah, it's I guess it's not really related to too much to the kind of clarification and the work we're doing now with that, but yeah, at least it wasn't like a scorching protest, against what we have uh, put in these documents so far in the email.
Yeah, it's not a negative backlash, at least. I think the way that I understand is maybe she's trying to say that each property has its own, and then she's part of FH10, so she's not maybe affected by it, maybe, or something. So she said each would submit our bylaws separate in support. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can do a follow-up email if you guys can think of what to say to her.
I don't know if that would be kind of a sidetrack to this. I mean, everybody who were kind of uh, what do you say, reviewed for being allowed to buy land, they agreed to the vision, everything on the website and the bylaws and everything. So that's kind of at this point what was agreed to. And then of course you can change this, and I am at Fruit Heaven 3, they have to change too, because people have changed, and we need to find kind of compromises and ways forward with that. And I guess that might be the same situation at FH10.
Yeah, the that title is kind of a source of confusion. The thing is, it's a template, and it applies to everything that's under the Fruit Haven project, unless the separate community, like be it FH10, for example, as Rob you said earlier, they do go through the consensus and they change and they pass their own bylaws. At which point it should be published as is written in the documents. It would be published and available on the website. But if it's not done, that means they are running by that document that was voted in through consensus.
Yeah, yeah. But so what I'm more interested in is the next step. Are we going forward with more clarification of the roles or something?
Do you think we should clarify the roles further?
No, I don't really know. I was basically just asking what's the next step now in this.
Okay, yeah, I was checking, and I will share my screen quickly, then we can all look at the mirror board that way. Yeah, okay. So you see it now, right? So what I was first thinking was getting into this explicit invariance, but it is a difficult topic. I mean, it's not difficult to define them. I mean, the result of this would be very short, probably. It's probably like 10, 15 sentences, I guess, the outcome of it. But I think it's very difficult to define. We could tackle it, but what I would propose actually to do first would be this one. That's about conflict resolution. So how do you handle it? You would define first classifications. So what types of conflict could arise or have you had in the past? And then you would say, okay, for each class, or you would say there would be one resolution path. Yeah. And for each class, it would start from a different stage, so to say. If you want, I can show you an example for EcoHubs, for our online community. I created this already. I defined it already. I don't go too deep. I just want to give you a feeling for it now, and then we can talk about if you even want to go that way, or if you would rather like to define something else next. So this would be this is the conflict resolution ladder for EcoHubs. Here we have all the classes. So we have interpersonal conflicts, role-based conflicts, structural conflicts, ethical or obligation breach conflicts, and safety critical ones. Here's for each like an entry criteria. So when are these triggered basically? Then entry points. So this is already the ladder, which is here. This is the resolution ladder, the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what happens if something escalates, something like a conflict arises? Yeah, and here you say already, okay, here's the entry point by step 1. We start very low. Yeah, with more critical ones like ethical things, we start at step 3 already. Okay, so yeah, just to give you a feeling. So this could be something very interesting for you because as far as I know, you don't have anything like that. And to prepare for future conflicts that might arise, this would be a really good way to handle it and to define it and how you will react or how you want to proceed instead of reacting even better. So yeah, let me know what you think.
Yeah, I would like to say that the little that I that I saw of that now, this quickly, that looked pretty cool, pretty good. And like if everybody agrees to this and votes this in, then we have like a more formal way of, moving forward with conflicts and resolving them instead of just having some kind of chaos and bullying and fighting and, you know, uh, ignoring previous agreements and whatnot.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to do the conflict resolution next, if that's what it's
Absolutely.
called. What
Can
was it
we just
called?
maybe does now we didn't see that one really well. Sorry for speaking so much now, but I don't mean to take over. But Stefan, could we just copy that one to our document and like start with that as a base? Just go through it and try to see if we have any different requirements or circumstances or whatever that might necessitate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, necessitate
Absolutely.
some.
Yeah, we can copy paste that. No problem. Let me prepare it then quickly. So I will create here a new proposal tab. And we call it conflict resolution. And then we would, these are the definitions, by the way. And so if you ever want to look into ARCOS, read how it works would be here in Blueprint, EcoHubs, the community. And here on the side, you can open Arcos Core version 0.1. That's the latest version. And then here layer 4, that would be the conflict resolution. And here it says the community must define an explicit conflict classification system that is known, accessible, and usable by all members. At a minimum, the classification system must include the following classes: interpersonal, role-based, structural, ethical. And each conflict class must explicitly define the entry criteria, everything we saw just now. And this is the result for what I did for Ecovillage. Then, yeah, we'll just copy it over. Yeah. Not better. Does anyone know how to make this nice? Here probably. Almost.
I'm not sure. One way you could do is if you do Control Shift paste or whatever, like paste as simple text. But
yeah, I tried
maybe...
that, but then it's not even a table anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like this is okay, I think. Yeah, I will do the details later. Okay, so we have that, and then the resolution letter. It's beautiful. Okay, here we go. Maybe here just to be complete, conflict classification. Okay, ready. So you want to check? Everyone wants to read it for themselves first, or how do we want to proceed?
Yeah, maybe we can just read it through, like, together here on the shared screen, or what do you guys say?
Maybe the start from the beginning, kind of.
So did that go through?
Sorry, say it again.
What do you mean?
What do the entry points mean?
So the entry points are referring to the resolution letter itself, which we look at later after that, or we can also look at it now if you want. So it defines where the class in that table starts. So some classes might bypass certain steps. So one second, let me finish this formatting so it's clear. So, okay, so for example, for an interpersonal conflict, you want to do first a direct conversation. You want that the parties try to solve it by themselves. So they just talk to each other. That's the very first step. But with a role-based one, you might want to skip that. And you say, we go directly to step 2, because it's a bit more critical. We don't want to waste time with doing a one-to-one resolution. We want to directly have a facilitated dialogue, where a facilitator, that's another point we need to do after that. That comes here further down. Here, facilitator selection and replacement. That's how you want to choose a facilitator, for how long they are a facilitator, I think. Yeah, but it's a certain responsibility that you need to define. And this would go directly to that person. They need to request within here described 5 days for a role-based one. and they need to arrange a meeting between with the facilitator and with the two parties that have this conflict, and try to do it from there. And with ethical, it goes directly to step 3. It says, opens. This is already like a formally recorded conflict where they write written statements. Yeah, so this assumes also that if an ethical or an obligational breach happened, there was already some conversation that led to this. So probably it was already going like silently through step 1 and 2. So you can start directly in step 3. And then it goes further. So structured review. Both parties have to have a full opportunity to present their position. The facilitator issues a written recommendation. Then there's a 21-day window. You can define all of this by yourself. As I said, as we know, I mean, this is just how I defined it for our online community. It might not fit for you. And yeah, governance decision, that would be like a voting, and separation process would be the very last thing. So if there's no clear conflict, someone needs to leave, basically. I mean, there's no way to solve that. Anyway, as the last.
What's the solution here? Is it oriented towards mediation?
Yes, of course. So every step tries to mediate and tries to resolve the conflict. So this is the whole point of it. And yeah, you try in some classes, conflict classes, you try to already do it here, and in some others you try it there. But if a conflict, like a interpersonal conflict happens, and this first step doesn't solve it, it goes directly to the next one. And if that one doesn't solve it, then this one. So there's a long phase, a long period. You can also see here 14-day window, 14-day window, 21-day window, 21-day window. So this all adds up, and it becomes a really long process. And only the very last step, when you get there, there's really, you need to talk then about like how do you separate, like at least one of these parties maybe, or how do we exit someone maybe. Yeah, and that would be a voting as defined here. But you can also choose it differently, of course. That's all up to you. And you can also add other steps in between if you find something more useful there. This is just, as I said, like how I found it useful for our online community. Is it more clear now, or would you like me to explain something else?
Number 3, please.
Okay. So that's an like the facilitator, which is one of you guys, someone that chose to be a facilitator for a certain amount of time. That should also be, by the way, defined in the roles. We need to do that then too. That they open a formal written record. So that means like this is like already in a book, and basically it's something official, yeah, for the whole group. And everyone can, like, each of these parties can write a statement. It's not about talking anymore because you tried it there or you tried it before in that case. It's about like trying to really take your time as one of these parties to explain deeply your case. And then the facilitator reviews both, and he or she tries to propose how these two parties can resolve this again. You know, there can be anything, but it should consider, of course, both standpoints. You know, the facilitator is as good as possible, like neutral, and that will be in a 20-day window. And if it's resolved, then they write it down. Also officially resolved. Hey, there was something officially, and we officially resolved it. And if not, it goes to step 4.
So why is it confidential? I mean, like it seems like the consequence here would be to have like a bad record, and wouldn't it be consequential if it was public?
Yeah, you can change it. You can change it to something public if you feel like that's something beneficial for your community, for sure.
But
Yeah,
why
just
why
keep in
was
mind
it
it can be
confidential in
also
the first
still.
place?
Yeah, because it could be something interpersonal. It could be something shameful. It could be something that not everyone wants the whole world, like in quotes, to know, like the whole community. It could be something quiet. Not everyone needs to know that there is a conflict. Yeah.
Okay, I see. But how is the record used then if it's confidential? Like, where does it stay, or how can it be accessed? Who gets to access it? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what I imagine is that the facilitator has their document where they record um, all these conflicts and hand it over to the next one.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to like if it is confidential. I had another question, but I will take that after. So it can be confidential. I think this is pretty cool that it's like a confidential, at least to begin with. You know, we don't want to create more drama. We don't want to have like a rumors and talk on the town, so to speak. So if there is anything that needs to be kind of made public, like a public decision, of course, or a small statement of the conflict, what was going on, and it's agreed on by both parties, then I suppose it can be made public so that, you know, there is a, yeah, the story of what happened and how it went and what they agreed upon. So I think that's pretty cool, but not have everything in the open all the time, like all along, because that might be uh, like a not the greatest thing for those involved. But yeah, I had a question. Do you have like a form or a protocol to follow, like for the facilitator, like basically a document where the facilitator puts in the mm, like the requests or the statements by the parties and such, to make it like easy to follow, like you don't have to think so much yourself, except for finding solutions, you know, as a facilitator. You don't have to like know how to set this up, but you can just follow a protocol and fill it out. That would be good, I think.
Yeah, I just opened it here. So this would be the next thing after it goes a bit further already. So this is the accountability protocol. So Arcos says the community must define an explicit sanctions and repair framework. The accountability protocol must define a minimum of there's something missing. Sorry about that. But yeah, so accountability check is initiated. So that's an accountability check. Then investigation and review, how that should happen. The due process guarantees, retaliation protections, and these are the sanction repair options. So you can go really deep. This is basically the protocol of how the facilitator would operate. Right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe even, yeah, so these are like the steps and stuff, but yeah, maybe we just prepare a document also that is easy to work with, like a template for filling out the, for documenting it, basically.
For sure, for sure. I mean, this is one layer of definition that is very important. But to make it easier, you can build anything you want on top. Like if you want explainer videos, then that's okay. If you want a book, that's also okay. Or a short paper, that's also fine. But it's still important to have this layer that makes things very clear and defines very clearly what needs to be done, and that there's no discussions around that. Yeah. Of course, but it can be changed, and there can be discussions. Yeah, I just mean when a conflict arises, then you don't discuss these things anymore. The framework is clear, Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Of course, now we haven't like reviewed all of this, but I'm sure that it would make sense for us now to just copy paste all of this and then start going through it, for ourselves, and see, if everything makes sense to us, to our situation, and if you should add or change something or whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. So would you like then to copy more things over? Would you like to focus on these things first? I can also give you a short overview over this page, what else there is further down. So there's the resolution letter, the steps that we copied already. Then we have non-response, withdrawal, and deadlock. So why is that important? The easiest way to defeat an accountability process is to ignore it. If non-response, withdrawal, or deadlock leaves the matter frozen, the party on the receiving end of harm carries the cost of the inaction. Explicit rules for each failure mode convert silence into a documented escalation trigger rather than a veto. So this describes what happens if one of the parties just says, no, I don't want to talk, all not my problem. So there's still something going on. Then the next thing would be facilitator selection and replacement. So how do you choose someone? And how do you replace them with the next person? I think also if the facilitator himself is somehow conflicted, if the facilitator is a party to the conflict, what do you do then? Privacy and information access boundaries. This I need to read. I don't have it in the top of my head. Yeah, that's what we talked about before. So privacy, the first 1 to 4 steps are fully confidential. That goes further into that. How is it with steps 5 and 6, and so on? And then you have also safeguards. I defined some there. So anti-retaliation, bad faith complaints, all of this stuff. So you have a
Can we
now,
check out the point 5 and 6 of the proceedings with the record, with the privacy?
You want to see 5? You want to see
Yeah.
5 and 6 of the letter? Here, this one?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. You want me to explain, or you want to read only?
Sure, you could. Whatever you feel like. I wanted to read it, but if you can explain it, it will be great too. Thank you.
Yeah, or read it first. If you have questions, let me know. It's maybe faster.
Okay, so basically the consequence is if the conflict is not resolved and the facilitator will, I guess, mediate, the facilitator will kind of assign judgment, and the consequence is that it goes on record and disclosed to other members who can then vote whether they keep this member or vote them out.
Yes, I think that's how it is. So you inform everyone about the case. Basically, you present both cases that were written down here in the previous step. No, here, actually. right? Yeah. And I know here issues a written recommendation. Yeah, exactly this one. So it's laid out to everyone basically there, and then members need to propose what to do. Like everyone is included now in the conflict because now it's not anymore an interpersonal thing with the facilitator. It's also now a whole community thing basically. So that's why this step is so important, because now it escalated so far that the entire community is affected by it, and you want to include everyone's opinion and decision power into it, because it affects everyone, and you need to create a proposal. The group creates a proposal with a deliberation, which means like they create a proposal, then 5 days long, minimum 5 days, it is publicly available. Everyone can read it. Everyone can think about it. And after this 5 days deliberation, the voting starts. In this case, it's on our private platform where we make votings.
Okay, got you. And basically, based on the severity of the situation, it can go to step 5 directly. Let's say if it's like a very like safety security concern, it goes right away to step 5. I think.
No, the most critical one is step 4. So you don't bypass anything more than until step 4, which would be until here. So if something like a security and a safety critical, like for example, credible safety risk, coercion, abuse, or threats, you go directly to number 4, which is this one where the facilitator, both parties have a full opportunity to present their opposition. Facilitator issues a written recommendation. Yeah, it goes directly into that. And it's not, it is still confidential. So it would be still a confidential meeting there. That's how I imagine it. So the facilitator would invite both parties and to discuss it, right? And then would write a written recommendation, confidential.
So basically, the facilitator, let's say the facilitator resolves it, then it does not need to go to step number 5.
Genau. Right. Yeah. I answered in German. Genau. Exactly. Yeah. In English, exactly.
And what's the 21-day window?
Yeah. So I understand it that way, that you have a 21-day window of time to accept, where both parties can accept. You need to set like a framework, because like a time frame. I mean, otherwise this process could be endless. You know, if one of these parties says like, okay, yeah, thank you for your recommendation, I will think about it for the next 7 months, you know, then nothing will happen ever. And this window makes sure that if the facilitator hasn't heard of one of them, for example, or it was still unresolved, that it goes after 21 days into the next step.
I don't know. For the case of security, it seems like 21 is kind of long.
Yeah, you can make it shorter. I mean, keep in mind that really all 3 parties optimally try to resolve it immediately by going into that step.
It also, I mean,
it's not about waiting. Yeah.
Sorry, we can easily put in a clause also that when there is like an ongoing situation, like an immediate situation of physical, psychological, or emotional harm of any kind, then we have an accelerated like a action plan or something, and we can step in to protect people, members of the community, for example, or things like that. So there's nothing stopping that either. We can put it in here also, of course.
Yes, of course. That makes maybe sense. If someone really walks around with a stick and hits people, maybe it's not good to go to step 4. that should maybe go directly into 5, making that public, making decision together of how to deal with that person, and then throwing them out as a group.
Yeah, I would say that those steps would be the second step in that situation. The first would be to have already in place kind of mandates or authority to take action, like, so that everybody knows that if someone is really doing this, then other members can join together, just 2 people, no decision making in the whole community or whatever, and they can just take action and kind of prevent an ongoing dangerous situation, for example. So we should put that in there also, so that people are not confused that it's going to be like a kind of action paralysis, when action is really needed.
I don't know. I think going through facilitator at step 4 first is better than making a public thing right away.
Yeah, that's not what I was talking about, but maybe you were not referring to what I was saying now, but yeah.
Maybe we can use the examples we had and test it out.
Yeah, which examples do we have? Shall we go shall we do a stress test, like with past examples that happened? So what would have happened in that case if you would have had this escalation ladder in place? Is that what you were referring to, Nick? That's how I understood it. Sorry if I understood wrong.
Yeah, the escalation that we had, it didn't go through that system at all. It just went straight to the authorities of the city, of the municipality.
Yeah, in that case, I feel like that's the very common way of our current society, where if there's a conflict between 2 neighbors, they go immediately to the police without even talking. What you would probably want to do is talk first, try to mediate it within the community. That would be my suggestion.
What do we do once that let's say it went straight to the police? Everyone's aware of what's going, but there was no formal mediation. What do you do in those cases? Do you still go through the steps?
Good question. I think it's not necessarily necessary anymore, because you skipped all of these things already, and maybe you should create a new conflict case, so to say, where all members are one party except that one person that went directly to the police, and then create a case of that where you talk first. I mean, this would be an interpersonal problem, I guess. And you would try to talk first with that person and say, hey, here we try to solve conflicts first, in person, or following our defined ladder. You didn't do that. And either the person says oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't think about it, I reacted, case solved. Or the person says fuck you all off, I don't want, sorry for the word, but I don't want to do that, and that was very critical, it was very important for me. Then it escalates to the next step, maybe, because that person is basically not following what you defined here. So it is a conflict as well. You cannot just hide that conflict and say oh yeah, okay, no, he didn't want to, it's okay. No, conflict needs to be always talked about. It cannot be anything hidden or unspoken. So you would go into the next thing. If the person says, I don't agree. Yeah, because it cannot be. They are with this. They also they participated also in creating this law, or at least agreed to it when they joined. So obviously they're going against um, the membership um, rules here. So it is a conflict. So you go through the whole thing. If they until the end still say, really, I really always want to go to the police and not go through these steps, then I mean, without being proactive and like proposing something better, then they need to leave at the end. So that's how I would deal with it.
But like if like we had situations where one member is attacking another, like dangerously, seriously attacking someone, and
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
like yeah, fuck ladder steps, basically. You do what you can to protect yourself or protect your members of the community that need protecting, and you put any, you can put the suspect, the criminal, in handcuffs or whatever you want, and you engage the police, you know, like that's fine. By me, that's fine. If there's a violent and critical situation, you know, that's fine. And it should be in here too, so that people realize that they can take action and go straight to the, you know, official law, you know, and then of course we can have conflict resolution and we can be talking and stuff. But uh, you know, when people's safety is in jeopardy, then is sometimes just not the time to talk.
Yeah, in a matter of safety, if it's like you're fearing for your life, of course you run to where you're gonna get protected. Um, I think I get the point of wanting to resolve it within the community first, and if it wasn't done this way, if like all the steps were skipped because the person feared for their life, sure, I get it. But let's say it wasn't. I don't know. Like we'd have to almost like look back at it and the kind of pass judgment. Was it like a fear for life situation, and then like kind of see where was the escalation? How did it get to that point? What happened before that? So I mean, it's sort of like we're reassessing the situation after the fact, and then like what the idea I guess would be to have these, let's say, these two parties with a facilitator, and the facilitator would kind of go through that, determine where was it escalated and where was it sort of the time to seek community help. Is that correct?
Yeah, like in the situation that involved earlier with Jack and stuff at Fruithaven, like this would have, of course, optimally been handled in this conflict resolution way, and with this going through these steps, you know, long before it gets live. But when Malcolm is standing there with a basically a madman in front of him with an axe, you know, it's like a, yeah, if you can, you just take him down. If you have a bigger stick, you just take a swing. You know, it's like a, and then you involve the police because this is a crime. Attacking someone, you know, like that is a crime. There is no way around it, and it doesn't matter what happened before. You know, uh, that might also have been crime, kind of uh, preceding that situation. But that's another matter. Then you have to take that to the police and to the law also. But just so that we have these things also in our documents, that is, you know, when we have a serious situation like that kind of unfolding, then of course we failed as a community in resolving conflicts at an earlier stage. But if it gets to that stage, and it, it can, unstable people, whatnot, mentally ill people, whatever, things can happen. And then there should be like a no um, requirement by in these documents that you go through lengthy steps, and like this, when you feel like your life is in danger, or that you're in danger of great harm, for example. That's all. That's just the kind of the sidetrack to this that I would have wanted to add.
The
I would
situation.
like to add something in this case. I think in such serious cases like the example you brought, I think both can happen. First, the immediate threat and the police and the crime to be reported, that can happen. And also after that, still the steps can happen on a parallel. And one thing will be the state case and the court case and the verdict of that. And the other parallel thing will be the stages of the described stages and the facilitator on the communal kind of way of sorting things. And I think both can happen parallel in such intense cases. And in my opinion, with the case that mentioned with Jack, if these stages were followed also parallel, I don't think that person will have accepted what the facilitator was saying and all that. So it will become very obvious that wouldn't work there too on the communal stages.
Yeah, I agree. Or it could have actually resolved conflict before it got to that very serious stage, of course. So that we will never know, with that particular case. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that important to have in here also, that when it comes to personal protection, self-defense, or defense of others, this is always allowed, of course, and go straight to the law. But yeah, go through these processes if possible. So yeah.
The issue with the parallel case resolving properly the community way and this on the state level, there was like a refusal to, because the severity at the state level is a lot bigger and there's a lot more consequences, real consequences like going to jail and so on. The trying to resolve it on a community level, like sort of is compromising to both parties.
Yeah, the lawyers,
In their the lawyers always advise to not talk outside of the state proceedings.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not saying that, but for example, after this has been settled in the courts, if you feel like there is a possibility for reconciliation, for example, then of course go do it also. But even if this person is out, then it voted out also, then with the consensus and whatnot in the community because of their crimes, then this should also be done through this resolution ladder steps, even if that person is not really involved in the steps. But once you go through it and document and take the decision, so I think that's okay.
Yeah, makes sense. If there's like the case or whatever, they might not want to discuss it. But I think, yeah, having the governance decision, people can review what they saw kind of separate from the whole legal case, because yeah, the legal cases can go on for a while, right? So that could be something that the community itself wants to kind of make a decision to protect the rest of the members.
That's true. On a community level, it could be solved way faster than on a state level.
And like Boris said, and like we said, it might not be solved really in the community, but we still then have to make the decisions that okay, this member is subject to forced exit, for example, and then we need to follow the process to do that, you know. But yeah.
So just sidetrack, I guess, but back to the message that we got as a response. She actually wrote, I don't have the desire to participate in calls, but I don't know if like, I guess we could still give her the 1 year or something like that once we make that decision, but it means that basically she doesn't want to be a member because that's kind of one of the requirements to be a member is to participate. What was, yeah, whatever we decided there, was it at least 2 times, no, what was it, attendance 2 weekly community governance meeting within the defined time frame. So in theory we could basically exit her, and then in that regard, like she doesn't want to participate, she's not going to be a member. It's not necessarily a conflict.
Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, but I take that statement of hers as regarding this process that we are in now. And if this all gets kind of voted in, I mean, this will, like I said before, if we manage to finish this and it's approved and everything, then it will come into effect in Fruithaven 1 and 2 perhaps, or 4, I don't know, but that would have to be like a consensus or voting process within each part of Fruithaven, and then they would have to do that for Fruithaven 10 also, and then they could start work on their bylaws and changes, whatever they want. But like this, what we're doing now is basically not a part of that community meeting process that they will have then. So everybody, no matter if they say a peep or not, must get this 1 year membership. That's my view.
Yeah, fair point. It's even though she expressed like the desire not to do it, like she still has like a year to do her to actually like change her mind, reconsider, or do anything about it.
Yeah, that's, well, I don't know if we want to, that's actually one thing that's important to discuss as well, the fragmentation aspect. So maybe that would be something, because yeah, the conflict is good. I think we can probably refine that for a while, but um, what do you guys think of the separation? Like we talked about how we don't have separate, media or website or whatever for each property, but yet each one can sort of act independently. So yeah, either we find a solution where it's kind of an umbrella thing that covers everybody, or then we have fragmentation, like we don't want to start making separate media for each property because that would be kind of funny, like fruithaven1.com, and you know we don't want to do that probably. So yeah, what do you guys thoughts?
We don't have to act on like when somebody, like an individual, says, "Oh, I'm going to do my own," or "Oh, we're going to separate," because that's, until they actually do it, until they submit their things, until they take the steps, it's pretty much noise. It's not really like nothing's been done. Like there's the thing is, they have consensus decision making just like us. Like each community is like this. So unless something is done on their side, as far as we're concerned, all of their members subscribe to Fruit Haven the way it was.
No, I'm not talking about people that want to separate from their individual property. It's like there's different properties that are they're physically different. They're all individual with different owners, but so it's kind of like there is a separation now. One, I don't know, option, I guess, like if we unite them in some form, for example, if there's a way to make like an association or foundation or whatever, both, and then they kind of sell it to them, and then it becomes really united. But if it's not like that, then it is separate. So there are separate budgets, there are separate owners. So each property is separate. And then also distance, there is separation, like especially FH10 being closer to Terra Frutis or whatever, they could join or make their own thing separate. That would be for them much more logical if they don't want to be a part of Fruit Haven. But
that's
that's
up to them to do it. You don't have to like force the issue. We don't have to do anything about it. I mean, like the separation in budgets, that's for like managerial things and in things that are affecting their community areas. But as far as vision, representation, that's all like United Fruit Haven project. That's bearing the title of Fruit Haven, and Fruit Haven is it's shown as, is promoted as, and listed as like all of that is transparent and put up on the website.
That's also one thing that could be concerning. For example, let's just say that FH10 decide, well, they want to allow raising, cows and having dairy and things like that. So that would be like something that the rest of Fruit Haven wouldn't agree to, for example. And then we could, say like, okay, we're rejecting FH10. You can call yourself something else, or
I mean, I wouldn't reject all of FH10 unless they present a consensus where they want to do that. Like each community area is free to do that if they can decide on it together, because you also have other owners in there that do want to remain in Fruit Haven. So they are protected by the documentation, by the things that they subscribed on. So unless they reach the consensus to change that, like,
yeah, I'm saying, let's say they reach a consensus that they want to allow cows and dairy or whatever, something like that, for example.
Yeah, then they're out. Of course, they chose to be out from the project and they shed the Fruit Haven name.
Okay, that makes some sense. Well, they might still want to hold on to it, but we would say, well, there's different. Maybe that's what actually we should also work on, Stefan. What was it, layer 0 or something, where the purpose and things like that?
Yeah, right. That's a very important thing, and usually I would always recommend to do that first. But because of your history with that, I decided to start with something lighter that is also equally important. But we can do that soon if you like. If you feel ready, we can look at the purpose.
At least we can look at the overview. So I'm looking at the artifacts. There's identity, membership, governance, economy, conflict, operation. So maybe just look at the overview so we can kind of see, and then see what you guys think too. It does make sense kind of to start with the identity part, but yeah, see what you think.
Yeah, for me, anytime when you feel ready, we can go over to the purpose. And then after, I would say we look at the invariants, which are also very important. The one that I suggested to skip today, because for this you should actually have
Yeah.
a very strong purpose already.
Yeah, I
So with the
guess that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, there's some things that we wouldn't change. Like, if one property, let's say they made a consensus where they do want to do something different than our invariance, like is the rest, then we would kind of have to say, okay, this property is no longer participating in.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this was also always the case already from the beginning. This was like explicitly expressed that if one of the Fruit Haven communities projects wants to change, wants to separate, want to have their own name and their own bylaws and stuff, they are completely free to do so, on their own. And I guess this would just be a part of that. I mean, they're allowed. It's not a prison, this, and the project is itself, of course, there must be consensus, uh, and the problems of people just not giving a shit about consensus and they just change and then they kind of force that on the community. That's a problem, in that community, in that project. But all the different projects are free to do what they want as long as they can agree on what they want to do. So the explicit invariance, as I understand it, would just be that to carry the name Fruit Haven, the project must have bylaws and live up to these following points, basically. Or am I misunderstanding that? And then, of course, if they don't want that, then they would have to shed the name and separate and call themselves something else and would not be related, will be removed from the Fruit Haven website and stuff. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask at the moment, I think Fruit Haven has vision, mission, and core values. That's how kind of has their identity named. What's the difference? And I'm hearing now two different terms like purpose and invariance in this model. So how do those terms fit with vision, mission, and core values?
Is purpose just another word for vision?
Yes and no. I think you can either use one or the other, but I see them as slightly different. Maybe it's just a personal view and a personal feeling. I chose here purpose because it's more action driven. Vision is something that you will never be able to touch. A purpose is something you thrive for going, like almost immediately, like more action driven, as I said. So it's something I see it personally as something between a mission and a vision, which makes it stronger somehow. And I also defined that it should be short, like it should be not a very long thing.
The model we operate on is vision and mission. So, like, yes, vision is something that we're not able to touch. It's like what we envision. Vision is what, and then mission is how, which is action driven. How do we get there? So, I guess purpose combines the two.
Yeah. But it should be one primary purpose according to Arcos. You can say, I don't want that in that case. We don't feel aligned to Arcos in that thing. But if you want to follow Arcos, you would have to have one primary purpose, not like 5 things or so, one thing. One thing that can include multiple. Also here, I can show you an example of EcoHubs, for example, just to show you that. It's very short. It's just that. to make regenerative community living rooted in care for people, land, and life structurally accessible, resilient, and replicable, reducing humanity's dependency on extractive systems, one community at a time. That's
this is one thing.
Basically, one sentence.
This is multiple things there, isn't it?
But yeah, if I would say now, okay, and also we care for the animals on the land, that would be like a second purpose, I feel. This is one, all the things that I'm listing in that sentence are very related to regenerative community living.
But also can be perceived separate concepts. So to me, it's multiple things trying to be achieved there, not just one.
Yeah, that's probably subjective. I see behind that one big thing, and these are the parts of achieving it, the necessary parts of achieving the one thing. But I understand where you're coming from. You can also see it that way. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's characteristics of that thing, which is that one purpose. And that one purpose has characteristics, which is resilient, replicable, accessible, and caring, independent.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah. And then you can have secondary purposes as well. That's what we also defined here. And we don't have any missions. We don't have vision. I mean, not in here, not in the constitution, so to say. Of course, you can create a vision page. I also have one on EcoHub's website with our vision. But I think as a base for working together, I think this is enough. And this is really good, even maybe even better than a complicated, long vision. Not saying you have one like that, but just mentioning that.
Is your manifesto kind of like the vision?
No, the manifesto is the manifesto. It's a separate thing. I don't know if I would actually add it in here. It's more like, for me, a manifesto is more like a call to action. So these are the problems and this is what we have to do. This is a manifesto for me. And it doesn't need to be inside of a community framework, what that is about how to live together. There we don't need a call of action. It's more like to the outside world, so to say, to get more people in. You could basically write a manifesto for Fruithaven saying we should all eat fruits and we should be fruitarian and we should be this and that. So come here, plant with us the fruit trees, and we are going for a brighter future. This is like a manifesto, basically. But you don't need to put that into your constitution. You can do it, but in different words then. Maybe less like a call, more like a defined purpose that we all, that all members basically glue together in some way or work together in one direction. Like in our case here, this is what we are working for with everything we're doing. This is the goal. So this is what you could find too. Like, what are you working for every day? What defines everything you're doing as a group? This would be the purpose. Why you exist? Why you are together in that physical place? That's how I see it.
Would it be possible to take our vision and mission statement and plug it in and see what it gives in relation to this, what you have here, to the primary purpose, secondary purpose?
Absolutely. Send it over. I think I don't even have it. I've seen it, but I'm not sure if I have it.
Also, someone could perceive the vision and mission combination together is what is the purpose. Instead of purpose being in between, can be a combination of both, both united.
Guys, I just wanted to say that I have to log off now. I'm looking forward to see what you arrive at with these things. I'm really curious and excited to about this process with this also here now. But I wish you all a great day and see you hopefully on Thursday.
Yeah, have a great week, Rob. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for being there always with us. I appreciate it. And I guess everyone does.
Likewise.
Yeah, Rob, thank you. I appreciate you. See you next Thursday. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Rob.
Take care.
So I posted the link. It's actually on our website as well, the vision, mission, whatever, it's all there.
Okay. Then let's.
It's also in the bylaws, but yeah.
It's in the bylaws as well. Okay. I forgot about that. Sorry.
But yeah, it's good to check. Yeah, I guess see if AI can help us out.
Okay, I have something. I think you cannot see my screen here, what I'm doing in my AI, but I will copy it out and paste it in, maybe here on top level.
I added a purpose tab.
Yeah, okay. I can directly do that, but it will be a bit messy because I'm just pasting in now
Oh, okay.
some AI content. That's why I
Okay.
was hesitating, but yeah, I can do it for now. We know that it's there is already purpose. You added it already. Sorry, I misunderstood. I also added it now. It's here.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, all good, all good. Okay, here. So the current Arcos section is structurally solid, but it is intentionally abstract and constitutional. The challenge is translating a rich philosophical vision into a governance language that is stable across time, enforceable, not ideologically cohesive, and operationally usable during disputes. That's very important. The key is to separate purpose, values, principles, practices, and strategies. Your Food Haven vision mixes all three together. A strong Arcos translation would therefore likely look like something like this. Proposed Arcos translation purpose definition. The primary purpose of the community is to cultivate and sustain a resilient, health-oriented, ecologically regenerative, and consciously cooperative human community living in alignment with nature. This captures the enduring constitutional core: resilient community, health, ecology. I think that's pretty solid. No, that's a really good extraction of what you wrote.
Pretty nice.
At least from my view, yeah. And secondary purposes would be the cultivation of fruits and vegetables through regenerative and permaculture-based methods, the promotion of raw, vegan, or fruitarian lifestyles, ecosystem restoration and ecological stewardship, the development of decentralized and autonomous community structures, education, demonstration, and inspiration for others seeking conscious or regenerative ways of living, the practice of non-violent communication and conscious-based governance. Pretty good. This preserves the original spirit without freezing technical details. Yeah, that's pretty
I think
cool.
it was
That's amazing.
consensus-based governance.
That's missing for you?
I think it just looks like conscious, but it's actually consensus. It's already there.
I read it wrong. I read it wrong. Sorry. I was reading conscious. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, it's consensus-based governance. Conscious-based governance would be also nice. Maybe
Yeah,
both.
not bad. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, amazing. From my view, that looks really aligned with what you want and pretty on point. I don't know what you think about it.
Secondary purpose does exist on Arcos. I didn't really see it yet.
Yeah, it exists here. Wait. Secondary purposes may be defined, but must not conflict with or override the primary purpose. So it's like optional in Arcos. You don't have to have them.
Okay, that's good. I actually like the second ones as well. It's good to have.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd make like a template. Well, I guess this is the way that you're envisioning, like the communities like us would just make a document or whatever, Google Docs, and just kind of work like that.
No, actually, since not so long ago, here on the Arcos Blueprints website, you can go now here to templates. You can go and open each of these layers, and there is for each artifact a download here. Download this template. So what do I mean by artifact? If you go into each any of these layers, yeah, it has these definitions that you need to make, and at the end of each of these layers, there's an artifact section that defines which artifacts you need. Yeah, and which is when you have them defined, you basically defined all of this. So, and to get this artifact, you can just download it here. So in 3 different formats, also in 4 different languages now. You can just download it. I think you cannot see it if I open it now here, but
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, nice. It looks cool. Maybe yeah, that's nice. Maybe there is a way to make it like a Google Docs template as well. Just have it all up in the cloud.
Yeah, for sure, you can do that. Or actually, the next better option, to be honest, is writing them as MD files, like Markdown, like this, and uploading them into GitHub. And then you will have something like this, like I created for.
Oh yeah, that's nice because then you have revision control.
Exactly, that you have that really nice thing of controlling versions, and you can see who changed what, and you can create so-called pull requests. Yeah, it's just a name, but what it is actually a proposal. So you can, someone can go read it. They can make changes by themselves, yeah, and they are not changing the whole thing already. But what they do is creating a proposal, and you can see, you can compare before and after. What did they change, and then you can commit the change if you accept. You know.
And there could be like a team of people that sort of like review the change before it's committed.
Yes, exactly. You can define who is allowed to commit, who is allowed to create proposals, and how many approvers you want. You can define that too. It's pretty rich. It's actually for code, but in your case, for something like this, it's also amazing.
Yeah,
and this is what I have for EcoHubs. Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the coding. Yeah, there's a lot of open source projects and stuff. Very nice. Yeah, I like that idea. That's cool.
Yeah, so I have this project here, and I have here folder layers. If you go in there, you have all the different layers and the artifacts that I was talking about. And if you open that, you can read it here. And that's basically the website. Because I added here a folder site, which is a, how's it called again? Astro. Astro is a framework. And that's Astro code. And what it does is it goes into here, into these layers, and it displays these files as a website, which is basically this. So this is reading directly from the MD files. And I also have here a folder with proposals. So all the proposals that passed, we don't have any yet. Any proposals that were rejected, and any future things that we should define and think about, which is a lot. So, and at the same time, we have compliance. So how compliant is this framework with Arcos itself? And we also have FAQs, yeah, things like this. So you could also create something like that. I can help you with that. For Foodhaven. So you have your own website for your own definitions. It's easier to refer to. It's easier with reviews. It's easier to with versioning. So you have a lot of benefits by doing it like that.
I think Rob would like that as well. We could show him next time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better probably than what I proposed here. This would be like a transitional thing where you can collect all the proposals that passed. Yeah, not the other ones, but all the ones that passed you could define in here, and you have a long document with all the proposals. And
GitHub is a lot nicer because it does it all automatically and it keeps track of it. And
yeah, exactly. And another really cool thing is with GitHub there is you can download the code, like GitHub calls it cloning. So you clone all of these files on your computer. You can do it with here code clone. Yeah, and there's different methods how you can do it. You can just download it as a zip file, for example. Then you have it on your computer, and then you can use AI tools like Codex or Cloud Code or whatever you want, and ask the questions about your definitions. So, are these roles that we defined? Is there a facilitator role for conflict, for example? Without looking in there for very long, you can just ask it questions, or you can generate new proposals as well. You can say, generate us a proposal based on Arcos. I also have it here under resources. I know I don't have it in the resources. Somewhere I have it. Arcos itself as a file, the entire framework. And you can say, how compliant are we with Arcos, reference there. And you can say, generate like, a proposal for our roles, following the Arcos guidelines regarding roles. So you can play with that too and use AI very effectively.
And could you ask, let's say, okay, there could be a conflict, blah, 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 something, and then tell us like what are the steps, and then it could just tell you what to do and whatever?
Yes, you can do that too. Absolutely. You can also, I mean, what I did already, basically the same is I defined here some stress tests.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Like an actual case.
You mean
like
immediate? Yes.
Yeah, something happened, and you just say, okay, this happened, and then tell me what to do next, and then it'll just tell you.
Yeah, you can do that if you want to rely on it. I mean, there's always a chance that AI hallucinates. You need to consider that too. So it should be not you should not become like totally dependent on it either. Like these are the two things I would be careful with. But it's a really cool tool to be fast with things. Yeah, then you don't need to read the entire thing, the entire constitution to understand something. AI can do that in a split second.
Or at least it could tell you where to look, because it's kind of like it can get pretty big. Like you have all these module layers, whatever layers and artifacts. But maybe you can make the templates in GitHub that we can like clone it and just like start from zero and like fill it in right in GitHub. Is that an option?
You can clone the entire repository that I have here. I think it's even public. If I send this to you, you can download that code and or fork it.
Clone it on GitHub, yeah.
That's another option. No, better to clone it directly. Remove the that's maybe a little bit difficult now because if you clone it, you have always the reference to this repository. So if you make changes and you send them basically into my repository. So what you would need to do is
maybe it does need to be
cloning
forked.
it, or you clone it and you remove that reference. It's a bit technical though. Maybe forking is easier, as you say. Yeah, you can fork it and then remove the fork.
Make a fork that we call Arcos FH instead of Arcos EcoHub or something like that, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, you can fork it, and then there's an option for removing the relation, like the upstream. So basically, your project would be downstream. My project, this one, is upstream, and you can interrupt the upstream relation. So you have your own thing, and then you can change whatever you like, and there's no effect on my repository.
This is basically like that AI workbook I was asking to you about last week, right? Where you can upload all this stuff, and then just you can even do it in ChatGPT, right? And then you just ask things, and it will give you the appropriate information based on the definitions we have.
Yes, correct. You can do that if you want, and I can assist you.
I like it. What do you think, Nick? Is this too technical for? I think for some people it would work well. There are a few people that are computer scientists in our owners. I don't know if they'll have time, but I think Rob may understand a little bit in this, and there's other people.
It's a little bit too technical for me, but I mean, I would enjoy using it for sure. Well, but I wouldn't know how to set it up.
Yeah, like we'll try to set something like this and make it easy to use. I don't know how. Yeah, do you know, Stefan? What is there a way to like plug that and then make like an interface? Oh yeah, well, I don't know. Make it like into the website the way you made it, or I don't know. I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, if you copy this, clone it or fork it, this repository, you will have the website already inside. This is the website. There's no more outside of this repository. This is all complete. So you could leave that, this site thing. You only update the layers, all the MD files in here. Yeah, these ones. You throw in your own things, your own definitions, and on the if you upload the website, everything that is inside here, then you display your definitions. The only thing you would need to change is here in public, probably the logo. You don't want the EcoHubs logo, of course. Here, EcoHubs network, an image. You don't want to show that. You want to replace it with your own, and you can change some colors somewhere here in styles, theme. Here are the colors. You probably want to change them to. That's it. I mean, with AI, you can do it also as a non-technical person.
Okay.
AI should figure it out how it works. And you can also host it for free. There's a website called Vercel, vercel.com, or Cloudflare Pages is another option. And here you can, here I also host mine completely for free. This one, Arcos EcoHubs. You just send here you see the GitHub repository. This is this one. It's linked basically. You just enter that, and then it uploads to the website, it publishes it, and you have it available. It's available now here in the Arcos EcoHubs Vercel app, for example. You would have Fruithaven EcoHubs Vercel app. Yeah, I just put another domain name on top. Like now it's called here Specs EcoHubs Community. I wanted to change the name, but yeah.
That's cool, yeah.
could we use it like we were using fruit files?
How big are the files? There's a limitation. So if you have big videos or I don't know, things like this,
Well,
then it's too much for
files
GitHub.
was actually a next cloud, so that's kind of like a Google Drive. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think we need that. This is just for specifically for this. But what else did you want to host? Yeah, like we have the videos on YouTube, and then the
Yeah, only
whatever.
text. The pictures, videos that could go on YouTube.
Yeah, I would
This
keep
would
it
be kind of
also separate. So because this is your governance framework, so to say, and the videos are another layer somehow. Even if there's a relation, I would keep them in a separate layer. You know, it doesn't need to be all in this repository.
All right. So I'm gonna have to go soon, but I wanted to ask before I go for that purpose thing that we had there.
Yep.
I mean, what we plugged in there, it looks pretty good. I think maybe I would like to go over some of the words and adjust a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Doesn't need to be perfect as it is here. I will remove this because I think we don't need this now. This is just AI explaining. So this and this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can change that, of course. That's the idea, to make it yours. Okay, great. Anything else? Because I would also like to hop off the call.
Well, where is that definition of the purpose?
This file is here under proposals. Here I added it. I can move it up because it's the purpose. So now it's
I'm
just
not
as
seeing the screen share.
No. I'm there on my screen share. I see it.
I just see one page, but it hasn't changed. I see our framework running on our own community, black and green page.
Then it hasn't updated on your end. At your end, I see.
I see the purpose definition. Yeah, maybe it's something on Nick's end.
Yeah, I think so. That's where I was before.
And he
you're
dropped off.
describing.
So
Yeah,
okay.
that's why.
Okay, I rejoined. Yeah, I see
Now
it
you
now.
see the right page? Okay, good. Yeah, it's here. Proposals, purpose.
So the primary purpose of the community is to cultivate and sustain a resilient, health-oriented, ecological, regenerative, and consciously cooperative human community living in alignment with nature. I would maybe change the word resilient. It's not really saying much. Maybe better word would be kind or ethical.
Yeah, would you like to add some comments here until next time, and then we go through them? Or if you want, you can stay longer in the call and already do it. But I need to hop off. As you wish. Okay.
I say
Then
we continue next. Yeah.
all right. Yeah. Then
Next
thank you,
meeting.
guys. We had a lot of different topics now, but I think it was pretty good, and we moved forward. That's great. Then
All
see you
right,
next time
I'm satisfied
on
too.
Thursday.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Nice. We'll continue next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Ciao.